Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with allthingsbbq.com, and this is Smoked Pork Ragu. Well, today we're bringing together the wonderful cuisines of barbecue and Italian food. We're gonna do this in the form of this really rich, hearty red meat sauce that's perfect for going on top of pasta or polenta, or honestly just eating it cold out of the refrigerator, which I might have done earlier this week. Now we're gonna be smoking up some pork shoulder for this recipe, and it's kind of the first of two major steps in this process. We're gonna cube up some pork shoulder, we're gonna make this wet marinade / rub that goes on the outside of it, and we're gonna get a really nice bark on our cubed up pork before braising it in the red sauce to break it down. So let's get started by making that marinade wet rub. All right, so here are the ingredients for our wet rub, our marinade of sorts. And what we need to do is we need to break all this down to fit it in this little cup. So let's go through these one by one. So we're gonna start with some fresh Italian parsley, and we need to get about a half cup of this once it's fully minced down. Now, these are all just kind of guidelines though. You're not gonna mess this up by having a tablespoon too much or too little of one or the other thing. As far as the fresh herbs go, and we are gonna blitz this in the blender, so it's not like you have to do a ton of knife work here. We just need to get it to fit in here. And next we've got some fresh rosemary. Just gonna peel the leaves off the stems here, and then we'll mince up these leaves for about 2 tablespoons of minced rosemary. Next we've got some pepperoncini, so some mild pickled peppers here to add a nice bit of brininess to the seasoning. We're just gonna chop that up and go for a couple tablespoons of that as well. And then finally, we've got some garlic. Just 3 decent sized cloves. Just smash them and peel them. You don't need to mince them up. So that kind of does it for the aromatics. From here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of our Smoke on Wheels barbecue marinade. Now this is oil-based, olive oil-based, so that works with our flavor profile. But beyond that, it's really buttery, and then it's kind of got this thyme, lemon, garlic flavor. All things that work well with our Italian flavor profile that we're going for. On top of that, we've got some of the Cattleman's Grill Tuscan steak seasoning. So you're just looking for a steak seasoning with big flavor. So nice, hearty steak seasoning, and then this leans to that Italian flavor profile as well as far as the herbs that are involved. So we're gonna go 6 tablespoons of the marinade, and then last we've got that Tuscan. We'll go 2 tablespoons of that. So we're throwing this on the Vitamix. We're gonna blitz it up, start slow. I mean, any blender or food processor should work for this part of the process. Just give this a shake to make sure it's all getting blitzed evenly. But really just looking to break it down. So this should essentially now be a paste that we can kind of coat the outside of our pork with. Almost looks like pesto. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and trim up our pork. So what we've got here is about 3.5 pounds of Boston butt pork shoulder. I've left the fat cap on this side. We want a little bit of variety. There's really not a lot of trimming to do so much as just cubing this up. So what we're looking at here is we want to go for about 2-inch cubes. Nice big chunks. And the reason we're going with this size is because we want these to form a lot of bark, because that's going to add a lot of flavor to our ragu. But at the same time, we want them to break down quick enough that we're not smoking this thing for 8 hours. We're really only looking to get about 3 hours of smoke on our chunks of pork. All right, so let's just transfer these over to our pan here, and then we're going to hit them with our wet rub marinade. Get our hands dirty and just kind of massage that into the pork. If you want to, you can let this sit for a couple hours, just soak up those flavors, but it's not a requirement. You can go straight to the grill with this once you get them coated in this puree. Now today we're cooking on the Yoder Smoker's YS640S pellet grill. We're gonna be smoking these chunks of pork at 275 using hickory pellets. Now the whole goal of this portion of the cook is to get a nice bark on the outside of this pork, as well as pumping as much smoke into this pork as we can. So with that in mind, I'm also gonna light up an amazing tube smoker to help expedite that process. So we can use the pellets right here from the hopper to fill the amazing tube smoker. Going for about 3 hours of smoke, so we don't need to fill this thing all the way up. We'll do about 3/4 full. All right, so we'll keep this over here on the bottom left side. And make sure that that's really burning before you stop. And then we're just gonna let this burn back for a good 30 seconds or so to make sure it's lit. So in the meantime, we'll load up our pork butt. Just give these enough space for that smoke to really circulate. It looks like that tube's doing all right, so blow it out. And close it up. We've got some prep work to do on the veggies for our ragu, so let's get started with the mirepoix. Now we're gonna do 2 cups of onion and a cup each of carrot and celery. We'll do kind of a medium dice on the onions. Well, really on everything for this portion. Got a decent braise ahead of us, so we can leave them, you know, not super large, but big enough that they're not gonna just totally break down. Pretty close. These don't have to be perfectly pretty cuts. The idea is to get everything roughly about the same size so that they cook in about the same amount of time. Next, we've got some garlic, 3 good-sized cloves. We're just gonna smash these, peel them, and we don't even need to worry about mincing these up because they're in for a good long braise. Now let's start putting it all together in the Dutch oven. We've got the Staub forecourt preheated on the induction burner here. We're gonna start off with 4 ounces of diced bacon. Now this is just about the right sized vessel for the recipe that we're doing today. So what we're looking to do here is just get a little browning, a little bit of rendering. We want some of that fat to come out so we can start to cook our veggies in the fat from the bacon. All right, bacon's looking good. So let's come in now with the mirepoix. This is a classic flavor base right here. And it's gonna add a lot of depth of flavor to this red sauce, to this ragu. We wanna get everything softened up just a little bit here. So we'll give this a few minutes to cook down. While we wait on the veggies to cook down, let's go grab the pork off the grill. So you can see we've got some really great color on the outside. I've had plenty of time for it to really soak up that smoke. So we're gonna take our cubed pork shoulder off of here now. And this is ready to go be incorporated into our ragu. These onions are just starting to turn translucent. So at this point, what we're gonna do is throw in that smashed garlic, as well as 1/4 cup of white wine. We can kind of use to deglaze the pan, any fond that's left on the bottom. We're gonna scrape that up with the wooden spoon and just let that wine reduce down until it's almost entirely gone. All right, not really seeing much of that wine left. So what we're gonna do now is throw in a couple sprigs of thyme, a bay leaf. We've got some of our Cattleman's Grill Italiano. We want about a tablespoon of that. Great Italian seasoning right here. It'll offer some salt, but a lot of different herbs and spices as well. And then we've got 1 29-ounce can of San Marzano tomatoes. So that's gonna cool things down just a little bit. In the meantime, we're gonna break these up and we're ready to nestle in our pork. So we're just gonna pop these smoky little chunks of pork into the red sauce. And I toss those around. And we want these to just braise and break down in this tomato sauce. So we're gonna transfer this back to the grill. All right, you can see we took the second shelf out just to make this a little bit easier. I've also cranked the temperature up to 350. We're gonna leave this uncovered because we'll continue to add some color from the smoke and the heat coming off the grill. Well, our pork's been braising away for about 2 hours now and it's just falling apart tender. We're gonna take a look. All right, well, check this out. This pork is just ready to shred. It's just been soaking up all the flavors of our red sauce. And all I've had to do during this period of time is add a couple cups of water just to make sure we don't run dry. But this stuff is ready to come off, get shredded up, and we'll have a taste. But it doesn't take much effort to shred this apart at this point. Now, as you see them, you'll want to fish out your bay leaf. Any stems from the thyme that you come across, you can take those out as well. Man, this smells incredible. Now let's get a taste. So cooked up a little bit of pasta to go with our smoked pork ragu. We're just gonna load it right there on top. I'm just gonna finish this off here with a little bit of ricotta and some parm. Oh, that looks beautiful. All right, let's have a taste. Man, that pork is velvety and delicious. Cooked in that red sauce, falling apart tender. You get all of the Italian herbs, spices, the aromas. Left some of that fat behind on that pork butt, and I'm glad we did because it just changes the texture. Melts in your mouth. Fantastic way to do pasta, but even like on a creamy polenta, this would be a beautiful thing. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out allthingsbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoyed the recipe, hit the subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to allthingsbbq.com/thesauce. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.